October has started and so has Inktober. Welcome to week 1 of Inktober 2024. My name is Justyna and I will not be following prompts this year, but instead I will have my own theme, which is Animals of Poland. Each day I will draw a different animal that lives in Poland and I will tell you something about it. If you want to know more about my previous Inktober attempts, you can check out the video shown at the top of the screen or linked in the description. I will be using mostly this square sketchbook in quite a small size. And for each Inktober page I have already drawn a smaller square. Let's start with the first drawing, which is a hedgehog, and this particular hedgehog is a northern white-breasted hedgehog, or in Polish jeż wschodni. In Poland there are two hedgehog species, the one I drew and an European hedgehog. The second one lives only in half of Poland though. Hedgehogs are small animals with thousands of spikes on their backs. When they are in danger, they roll themselves into a spiky ball. They eat mostly worms, insects and snails. Sometimes they also eat amphibians, mushrooms and fruit. They can even hunt some poisonous animals like snakes and toads. In winter, they hibernate until April. There is a common misconception that they carry fruit on their backs, but it is definitely not true. In Poland, they are very liked animals. People love when they come to their gardens, and there are often some initiatives to build hedgehog houses that can help them survive winters. For each animal, I will be adding some kind of a frame, in this case a leaf frame. I will also be adding a title, usually in the form of a paper banner with animal's name. This first banner was very bad because I didn't know how to draw it, but on the next days I got better with it. On the second day I drew an European beaver, or in Polish, bóbr europejski. This is a nocturnal animal known for cutting trees and building dams on rivers and lakes. It used to be a very valuable animal hunted for fur and meat since thousands of years ago. In medieval times its fur was used to pay for goods, and in Poland all animals belonged to the kings, so only they could hunt them. Hunting in the whole Europe almost led them to extinction, but thanks to various protection programs and reintroductions, right now the population of beavers in Europe is not threatened. For the frame I used partially leaves, partially a wave to symbolize that this animal lives both on ground and in water. On the third day I drew a butterfly. This is Aglais, known also as a peacock butterfly, and in Polish as rusałka pawik. This is one of the most common butterflies in Poland. They actually hibernate during winters in various places like caves, rock crevices or dens. And they used to hibernate in my grandmother's cellar. I remember the whole ceiling over the cellar stairs covered with those sleeping butterflies. For the frame I used tiny flowers here. As I mentioned in my previous Inktober video, I didn't want to be limited to ink only. So with this butterfly, after making the ink line art, I painted over it with watercolors. At first I wanted to only color the eye on the wings, but finally I covered the whole butterfly. The paper handled it quite well, although since this is not a watercolor paper, I couldn't use layers and paints weren't mixing that well. For day 4, I drew two animals that are very similar to each other. A least weasel and a stoat, or Ermine. In Polish, the weasel is called Łasica pospolita and Stoat is called Gronostaj europejski. I find differentiating them very difficult. From what I found, weasels have a fully brown tail, while ermines have black tip of the tail. What is very interesting is that both of them turn white during winter. Depending on where they live, they don't always get fully white though, probably depending on how much snow there is. Ermine's tail tip stays black even in winter. They are nocturnal, so can be hunted by owls and hawks, but both are quite aggressive and are not an easy prey for them. For this drawing, I didn't use any frame, but instead I covered the whole background with black, leaving only the fern leaves white. The next animal is European wildcat, in Polish Dźwig europejski. This is a nocturnal wildcat with an appearance similar to a big house cat. They live in some parts of Europe and in area around Black Sea. They can be found mostly in mountain forests where they hide and they hunt on open fields and meadows. They eat mostly small mammals, birds, fish and rodents. They can also eat fawns of roe and deer. The threat to their young offsprings are actually both animals that can be found on the previous page, weasels and ermines. In Poland, they live only in a small area of the Carpathian Mountains, and there are probably no more than 200 cats there. They are protected in most of Europe as there aren't that many of them in their original habitats anymore. For the frame of this drawing, I used spruce branches. On the day 6, I drew speckled ground squirrels, which are called suseł perełkowany in Polish. In Polish, the speckles on their backs are called pearls, which is very cute to me. This is an endemic species in Eastern Europe, and in Poland its living area covers only a very tiny space. Before this Inktober, I have never heard of this animal. Its population plummeted heavily in the 21st century, as due to broadening of farming areas and decreasing cattle grazing, their habitats got fragmented and colonies became divided and isolated from each other. As a result, it is currently endangered in Poland, and ecologists keep working on rescuing this species by creating reservations and trying to introduce new individuals to the population. Its current biggest colony lives on a ground of small grass airport in a city called Świdnik. But it turns out that ground squirrels were introduced there artificially about 40 years ago by unknown people that caught some animals and released them near the airport. Unfortunately, as this is not their original habitat, they were very isolated from other populations and have poor genetic diversity. The topic seems both interesting and controversial to me, but I haven't done a broad research on it yet. On the last day of week 1 I drew Tatra marmot, in Polish świstak tatrzański, which is an endemic species of marmot from Tatra mountains, so they can be found only in a small area of Poland and Slovakia. Unfortunately, it is threatened with extinction and is protected in both Poland and Slovakia. Their lifestyle and behavior are the same as of an alpine marmot, it's only their appearance that differs slightly. Their nose bones are a little bit different and their fur color is lighter. They communicate with each other by whistling that actually sounds like screaming. So this is why one of the marmots in my drawing seems to be yelling at the other ones. They build burrows of different purposes. The most important one is a burrow for winter hibernation. They spend most of the year there. A summer burrow is used temporarily. Sometimes it is transformed to the winter burrow. And there are also multiple escape burrows that are used as a shelter from predators. They are usually less than 1 meter deep, and marmots don't wander further than 10 to 15 meters away from such a burrow. They also keep their burrows very clean. They always have a separate room for the toilet. And those are all animals from the first week. Let me know in the comments if you found that interesting. I certainly learned some new information. If you are doing Inktober as well, good luck, I hope we will all succeed. My previous Inktober videos will be linked in the description. See you in the next one. Bye bye!